Amu, Ogere, and Abeokuta. The government said the roadworks are expected to improve connectivity, ease traffic congestion, and stimulate economic activities. Council also approved the reconstruction and completion of Block E at the State Secretariat Oke Imos and Abeokuta. The facility, renamed Revenue House, is intended to enhance revenue generation and improve operational efficiency across government agencies. In addition, the council confirmed several traditional leadership appointments across Remo North, Yewa North, Shagamu, and other communities, reaffirming the administration's commitment to strengthening traditional institutions as partners in grassroots development and security. Zamfara State Governor Dawuda Lawal has expressed sympathy to communities affected by recent bandit attacks and convened an emergency security meeting to address rising insecurity in the state. In a statement issued by his spokesperson, Suleiman Idris, the governor said the meeting held at the government house in Goso brought together heads of security agencies and relevant stakeholders to strengthen coordinated efforts against criminal elements. Governor Lawal urged security chiefs to heighten vigilance, improve intelligence gathering, and implement immediate countermeasures to prevent bandits from gaining further ground. He also commiserated with families of victims and security of personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty, assuring affected communities of logistical and operational support. The development follows recent attacks in parts of Zamfara, including a reported raid on Dotsin Dan Ajia village in Anka local government area, where dozens of residents were killed and several others abducted. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We'll be back after this break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network, and now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has reappointed Ahmed Aoudi as the Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps for a fresh 5-year term. The reappointment took effect from Friday, February 27, according to a statement issued on Saturday by the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. Aoudi, who was first appointed in 2021 by former President Muhammadu Buhari, completed his initial tenure last week and is expected to resume duties on Monday with a renewed mandate. President Tinubu tasked the NSCDC boss with repositioning the corps to play a stronger role in national security, particularly in protecting critical infrastructure and supporting efforts against banditry, kidnapping and terrorism. Federal government has advised Nigerians living in the Middle East, particularly in the Islamic Republic of Iran and surrounding Gulf nations, to take extra security precautions following rising military tensions in the region. In a statement released on Saturday by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the government said it is closely watching developments involving military operations reportedly carried out by Israel and the United States against targets in Iran, as well as subsequent retaliatory actions affecting parts of the Gulf. Authorities urge Nigerian citizens in the affected areas to remain alert and avoid locations considered strategic or sensitive, such as military bases and government installations, which could become flashpoints for further conflict. The advisory recommended limiting non-essential movement and avoiding public gatherings or demonstrations until the security environment improves. Nigerians were also advised to comply with instructions from local security agencies, noting that cooperation with authorities is vital for personal safety. Diplomatic missions, including the Nigerian Embassy in Tehran and consular offices across neighboring Gulf countries such as Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, have been placed on high alert to assist citizens and facilitate communication where necessary. The government reiterated that the safety of Nigerians abroad remains a priority and pledged to continue monitoring this situation while providing updates and developments unfold. It also appealed to parties involved in the conflict to de-escalate hostilities and return to negotiations in the interest of global peace and stability. Defense headquarters has clarified that military assistance from the United States to Nigeria does not undermine the nation's sovereignty, insisting that the partnership is legitimate and beneficial to ongoing security efforts. Speaking on Saturday, military authorities said the support from the U.S. government is strictly advisory and capacity building in nature, with no financial burden on the federal government. According to the Defense Headquarters, the collaboration is primarily aimed at training Nigerian troops and enhancing counter-terrorism operations across the country. The clarification comes days after the Defense Headquarters announced the arrival of about 100 U.S. military personnel and related equipment on February 17. In an earlier statement, the Director of Defense Information, Major General Samaila Uba, explained that the deployment was the outcome of discussions held during the working group meeting between Nigerian officials and their U.S. counterparts. Providing further details at the press briefing in Abuja, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, said the partnership should not be misconstrued, describing it as a routine military-to-military engagement consistent with international cooperation in combating terrorism. He maintained that such collaboration is a common practice among nations facing security challenges and is designed to strengthen Nigeria's operational capacity rather than compromise its independence. Female operative of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC) has died after being hit by an operational patrol vehicle during a simulation exercise in Abuja. The incident was confirmed on Saturday by the Corps spokesperson, Afolabi Babawale, who described it as a tragic mishap that occurred in the course of a coordinated show of force drill. Video clips that later surfaced on social media show the moment the officer was struck as the patrol vehicle made a turn during the exercise. The vehicle stopped immediately, prompting colleagues and bystanders to rush to the scene and pull her from beneath it. She was subsequently evacuated by emergency responders but was pronounced dead despite rescue efforts. Reacting to the development, Babawale said the Corps had activated its internal procedures in response to the incident. He added that the NSCDC would issue a comprehensive statement to explain the circumstances surrounding the accident and the steps being taken by the agency. As of Saturday, the identity of the deceased officer had not been officially disclosed. Registrar of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Professor Ishak Oloyede, has warned that candidates and parents involved in examination fraud will face severe consequences, describing the trend as a grave threat to the integrity of Nigeria's education system. Speaking at a press briefing in Abuja on Saturday, Oloyede said JAMB would no longer tolerate what he termed organized criminal activities undermining the credibility of the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. He disclosed that investigations uncovered syndicates using artificial intelligence to impersonate JAMB officials and defraud candidates. According to him, more than 100 candidates across 25 states were implicated, with 83 confirmed to have made payments for illegal assistance. Oloyede stressed that both candidates and their parents were complicit, warning that all registrations linked to the fraud would be recommended for cancellation. He also clarified that JAMB had not increased registration fees and urged candidates to report any center charging above the approved amount. The registrar reviewed that some computer-based test centers had been suspended and that suspects, including school proprietors, had been arrested. He added that JAMB is working closely with security agencies to prosecute offenders and has strengthened its technological systems to detect prohibited devices during examinations. He urged parents to desist from encouraging malpractice, warning that paying for exam fraud is a punishable offense and that ignorance would not be accepted as a defense. The 2026 UTME registration began on January 26 and closed at accredited centers on February 28, with over 1.5 million candidates registered as of mid-February. Chieftain of the African Democratic Congress, Pat Otomi, has clarified reports surrounding the South leaders meeting of the party following claims that the zone endorsed Rotimi Amechi for the 2027 presidential election. Reports had earlier suggested that South ADC leaders backed Amechi, a former Rivers State governor and minister under late President Muhammadu Buhari. However, the ADC national leadership dismissed the reports as misleading and undemocratic. In a post on X, Otomi explained that at the beginning meeting, Amechi merely declared his interest in contesting the ADC presidential ticket in line with party tradition. He stressed that no discussion or endorsement took place, describing claims of endorsement as inaccurate and disingenuous. Amechi has since formally declared his intention to run for president in 2027 on the ADC platform, where he is expected to face competition from other aspirants, including Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, who have also made their ambitions public. And now to some business news. Adebayo Adelabu, Minister of Power, has directed the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company to urgently accelerate the distribution of free prepaid meters to customers across its franchise area. Adelabu gave the directive on Saturday during a working visit to IBEDC's headquarters in Ibadan, where he met with the company's management and the key stakeholders in the power sector. He said the visit underscores the federal government commitment to close engagement with electricity operators to address operational challenges and improve service delivery in line with the power sector reform agenda of Bola Tinubu. The minister expressed dissatisfaction with IBEDC's metering progress, revealing that only about 16,300 meters have been installed out of nearly 59,000 supplied under the Distribution Sector Recovery Program Metering Initiative. He stressed that the meters were provided to enhance billing transparency, boost customer confidence, reduce losses, and strengthen the financial sustainability of distribution companies, urging IBEDC to treat deployment as a priority. Adelabu also encouraged the utility to explore embedded generation opportunities, including the planned concession of Ikere George Dam, as well as franchising and mini-grid partnerships to improve supply reliability. In his response, IBEDC Managing Director Francis Agoha acknowledged government support and disclosed that the company recently secured new core investors, expressing optimism that fresh investments would significantly improve performance and service delivery. Rural Electrification Agency has unveiled plans to execute about 500 electrification projects in the 2026 fiscal year, targeting strategic public institutions and underserved rural communities across Nigeria. The managing director of the agency, Abba Aliyu, disclosed this while speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the 2026 budget defense session organized by the House Committee on Rural Electrification in Abuja. Aliyu said the REA has proposed a 170 billion naira budget for 2026, with 100 billion naira approved from the National Public Sector Solarization Initiative, a flagship program aimed at delivering sustainable and cost-effective power to government institutions. He explained that the funds would be used to deploy hybrid mini-grids to ministries, departments, and agencies within and outside Abuja. reducing reliance on the national grid, and lowering energy costs. Using the National Hospital Abuja as an example, the REA boss noted that solar infrastructure already deployed by the agency has ensured uninterrupted power supply and improved service delivery. He added that projects under the 2026 plan would include grid extensions to communities close to existing power infrastructure, renewable powered mini-grids for agrarian settlements and cottage industries, as well as mini-grids for agricultural processing clusters to boost productivity and reduce post-harvest losses. Earlier, Chairman of the House Committee on Rural Electrification, Mohammed Bokar, said the committee was satisfied with the agency's submissions, commending its progress in expanding energy access and adherence to procurement and fiduciary regulations, while noting that oversight visits to project sites will be carried out.
REA and their team are here to defend their 2026 budget. As the law demands, it's our duty to scrutinize their 2026 budget submission. Though we will not do that until we look at their 2025 compliances.
Under 2026 budget, we have planned over 500 different projects. So number of them are extension of grid for communities that are very close to the grid, where we extend the grid, deploy transformers and power the communities. We have also a reasonable number of mini grids for communities that are agrarian in nature or have cottage industries. We also have plans for mini grids in an agricultural processing area under this particular year budget. We also have plans for deployment of solar home system for sparsely populated community. What we presented to the National Assembly is a plan of this 500, details of this 500 projects that are to be executed. We also give account of our performance in the 2024 budget, where we achieved 85% of our performance. We also accounted for the 2025 that has been rolled over to 2026. Currently, we also achieve about 32% of performance and 16% of financial performance.
You are still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is international tidbits. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a major military assault on Iran, vowing to destroy the country's navy and missile infrastructure and calling on Iranians to overthrow their government. In a video address posted shortly after joint strikes by the United States and Israel, Trump said Washington's objective was to dismantle Iran's military capabilities and end the rule of the Islamic Republic established after the 1979 revolution. He warned that Iran's missile and naval forces would be obliterated and urged members of the Revolutionary Guards and security forces to surrender, promising immunity or certain death if they refuse. Trump told Iranian civilians to remain indoors, warned of widespread bombing, and said the campaign was necessary to eliminate what he described as imminent threats from Tehran, including missile development and nuclear ambitions. The escalation followed weeks of mountain treasures and mountain tensions, and marks the largest U.S. military deployment to the Middle East in years, raising fears of a wider regional conflict. Iran has launched missile attacks on several Middle East countries, hosting United States military forces in retaliation for recent U.S. airstrikes, sharply escalating regional tensions. The attacks hit locations under United States Central Command operations, where thousands of American troops are deployed. In Bahrain, missiles targeted facilities linked to the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet. Explosions were also reported near the U.S. consulate in Abu Dhabi, Iraq, with several drones and missiles intercepted by Kurdish forces. Jordan confirmed its air defenses shot down 2 ballistic missiles, while Kuwait intercepted missiles near major U.S. bases, reporting infrastructure damage. Qatar said an Iranian strike targeted Al Udeid air base, a key U.S. military hub. In Syria, state media reported 4 deaths from an Iranian missile strike, while the UAE said it intercepted 2 missile waves, with debris killing a civilian in Abu Dhabi. The escalation follows earlier U.S. strike authorized by Donald Trump, raising fears of a wider regional conflict involving major U.S. allies. Russia has condemned recent strikes by the United States and Israel on Iran, describing the attacks as a dangerous adventure that could trigger a regional catastrophe. In a statement on Saturday, Russia's foreign ministry warned that the strikes could lead to humanitarian, economic, and even radiological consequences, accusing Washington and Tel Aviv of attempting to destabilize Iran's government through force. Moscow said responsibility for any escalation or chain reaction of violence would rest entirely with those behind the attacks, stressing that the situation risks spiraling beyond control. Russia, a close ally of Iran, called for restraint and urged all parties to pursue peaceful solutions based on international law and mutual respect. It also advised its citizens to leave both Iran and Israel amid fears of further escalation. The warning comes as tensions rise in the Middle East, following reports of possible wider U.S. military involvement and growing concerns about a broader regional conflict. And here now is ATN Sports News. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has rejected suggestions that Arsenal have been handed an easier route to the Champions League final following Friday's draw. Arsenal are set to face Bayer Leverkusen in the next round and could meet either Bodo Glimt or Sporting CP in the progress. Meanwhile, City will take on Real Madrid for the 5th consecutive season in the competition. Should Guardiola's side advance, they are likely to face Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals. Responding to claims that Arsenal's path appears easier, Guardiola described the suggestion as disrespectful, insisting that every stage of the Champions League demands overcoming top quality opposition. He stressed that any team hoping to lift the trophy must be prepared to defeat the best sides in Europe. Bournemouth missed the chance to strengthen their push for European qualification after being held to a 1-1 draw by Sunderland at the Vitality Stadium. Andoni Iraola's side fell behind in the 18th minute when Eliezer Mayanda tapped home from after Georgi Petrovic parried Habib Diarra's effort. The goal marked Mayanda's first in the Premier League side since August. Evan Neeston restored parity in the 64th minute, bundling in Marcos Tavernia's cross after a misjudgment by Sunderland goalkeeper Robin Roves. The Brazilian's 6th goal of the season extended Bournemouth's unbeaten league run to 8 matches. Sunderland, hosted by the return of captain Granit Xhaka from injury, produced a disciplined display and could have doubled the advantage earlier in the second half, but for missed chances. A win would have kept Bournemouth in closer contention for a possible Champions League spot. Instead, they remain 8th in the table, while Sunderland sit 11th, 2 points behind the Cherish. And now, entertainment news. Nigerian record producers and DJs have opened up about alleged exploitation in the music industry, recounting instances of unpaid work and denied credit. SARS sparked the conversation during a podcast where he claimed that several popular artists previously took advantage of him by failing to pay for songs he produced. He said the experience pushed him to adopt a stricter payment policy before collaborating with artists. Reacting to a viral clip of the interview, Ozedikosi revealed that he had a similar experience around 2016 and 2017, alleging that he produced over 30 songs for an unnamed artist within 2 months without receiving payment. He further claimed that he was not credited when one of the tracks was eventually released. DJ K-Wise also shared his experience, alleging that rapper LD The Don promised to sign him to his label in 2012 after he produced more than 1,000 mixtapes, but the deal never materialized. He said the incident influenced his decision to remain independent in the industry. LD The Don has yet to publicly respond to the allegation. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Energy reverse rejects non-professionals in media roles. Federal government issues safety warning for Nigerians in Iran Gulf states. Tinubu appoints Ahmed Aoudi as NSCDC Commandant General. Adelabu orders IBDC to fast-track free meter distribution. Iran missiles hit U.S. bases across Middle East. And Pep Guardiola dismisses claims of easy UCL path for Arsenal. SARS orders reveal alleged music industry exploitation. I am Favor Chikwesiri Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter now X at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network, and don't forget peace and unity are the pathways to progress. To have a wonderful night rest.
The board, management, and staff of Morrison Media Group presents the 2026 anniversary celebration lecture of Morrison Media Group. Theme: Media's role in shaping social change, addressing inequities, and empowering voices. Chairman Alex Ndudi Enebele, FSM, President, Institute of Strategic Management of Nigeria, Chartered. Keynote speaker, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, Professor of Media and Broadcasting Communication. Panelist, Professor Chris Ochonogo, Immediate Past Head of Department, Journalism and Media Studies, University of Port Harcourt. Dr. Ijoma Tobosia, Secretary, NUJ, River State. Dr. Sarah Joe, University Orator and Associate Dean, Faculty of Communication and Media, River State University, Port Harcourt. Dr. Ibiere Koki, Ignatius Aju University of Education, Rumolomini, Port Harcourt. Chief Host, Dr. Chinyere Igwe, Esquire, Chairman, Morrison Group. Date, Tuesday, 10th March 2026. Venue, Gate Place Hotel, Kilometer 5, East West Road, adjacent Obirikwere Flyover, Rumosi, Port Harcourt. Time, 10 a.m. For more information, please call Kainde Paul Obofadi, 081-063-41777 or Samuel Ajinwo at 090-454-00744. Signed, Management.